we're now going to make the bottom of the purse. This is the first half that I've already done. Sort of a bit shameful showing you the wrong side of the work really, but that's how it's got to work. So up until now, obviously we've worked in around the purse, but we've got to make just like this little bit at the bottom. Here's one I made earlier. Let me show you. Here's one I made earlier shot. So it's this bottom bit, just to give the purse a little bit of width so that you can put things in it. So it's made very cleverly. You can see it's the two parts. We do that pattern on both sides and then sandwich it together and sew it, and it gives this lovely effect here. So that is what we're going to be working on. Sort of slight change really, because as I said, we've been working round and round up till now, and we're now going to work in rows. We've got 4 rows here. We've got 1 to 3 are just sort of normal backwards and forwards rows of double crochet, UK terms folks, and then this last row, this opaline glass row at the top, some slip stitches and this lovely long double crochet to make that pattern there. It's not complicated, but it's a little bit, you know, I just want to show you how to sort of position the stitches so they start and end in the right place, and also get your head around turning the work when you're kind of working on the back of something. So it's absolutely fine. We'll work through it, and we're nearly there. Let's get started. The first row of double crochet is worked in lemon. And it's really straightforward. It's just 43 double crochet stitches, which is totally fine. They're going to work all the way on the other side of the purse. Let's just turn it over, shall I? Going to work all the way around the flower part, all the way back up to the. So it starts on one side of the top, goes all the way around the bottom of the purse and stops on the other side of the top. So that's all we're going to do. That's 43 stitches in total. Really straightforward. The only thing is we need to make sure you start and end in the correct place. Now the pictures again in the book are really good for this, but the easiest way I found to make sure you start in the right place, you're going to start in the second stitch of the first petal after the top. So we know that after the top means to the left of the top, and the second stitch of that petal that's number 1, that's number 2. So that is the stitch we're going to start in. I'm going to just put my hook through there because we're not going into the top or the front, we're actually working into the back, if you remember. So I'm going to flip the work over, and I'll keep my thumbnail next to where we're going to start. It's right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to work into the back of these stitches, and to do that you're just going to put your hook under both of the strands of that stitch. So each stitch on the back, if you see, is made up with these two strands, make that little V, and your hook is going to go under both of them just like that. The first row is worked in lemon, and we're going to just pick that up, new colour, in the normal way, which is to say we're going to pass it through those two loops of the back of that stitch, and we are going to do 1 chain to secure it, and that is going to count as our first double crochet. Okay, now the stitch count on these rows is important. Just make sure you've got 43 stitches at the end of all of these rows, and you will be fine. I just want to show you working a couple of these stitches just to make sure that you sort of identify where they are. As long as you work in 2s, your hook has got to go under 2 strands each time. You know you'll have worked into a stitch, and you won't be missing any or doing 2 together. So that was 2 there. The reason I say this, oh, sorry, I'm getting in such a tangle today. The reason I say this is because if you look at the next part, this is so professional, sorry chaps. The next part, if you turn it back over to the right side, this is where we did the 2 orange stitches into 1. And when you turn it back over here, they're kind of grouped together. So just make sure you don't sort of put your hook under all 4 of them. You only ever want to put your hook under 2 strands, and that means you're working into the back of 1 stitch. And they do need to be done sort of separately, so just bear that in mind. That is the only thing to be mindful of with this. I'm going to show you one more time how to sort of position your hook, and then I shall go along to the end and we'll pick up together when we get to the end. So it's under both strands on the back of that stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to go along, I'm going to do my 43 stitches and we'll talk at the end. So that's 43, and it finishes kind of level, so it's sort of between the second and the first, sorry, the penultimate and ultimate stitch of that last last petal before the top. So it lines up with the one where you've begun anyway. So make sure you count 43 stitches and everything will line up as long as you started and finished in the right place. I've already cut the yarn here because this is take 4. So cut the yarn and I'm going to fasten off. I'm going to fasten off, I'm going to sew that end in later because I just want to straight away join in our next colour, which is coral, and just show you where to do that. At the end of the lemon row there is it says 1 chain and turn your work, and I think that 1 chain is erroneous. I don't think it needs to be there because we're actually changing colour. If you were continuing with lemon you would 1 chain and turn, but I think sorry, it says 1 chain fasten off. I think that 1 chain is erroneous. I'm not putting it in. Okay, Greta may tell me off, I don't know, but I've got on okay without it, so I'm ignoring that 1 chain. That's just a little top tip. It won't hurt either way, it's 1 chain, it'll stick on the end and you're covering it up anyway, but I'm not doing it, so there. Right, okay, so moving on, we're going to join in coral and we're going to turn the work and go the back the other way. So in the pattern it kind of helps us very much because it says join coral into the last double crochet of the lemon row, which means you're not going to shuffle all the way back to the beginning because that's the first stitch of the row. You're going to come back. This is the last stitch of the row, so we are turning the work and we're going to go back in the other direction. I know it's probably completely intuitive, it's just that things aren't flat. We're not doing a flat sort of straight piece of work, and I just wanted to sort of, I don't know, just tell you to be sort of a little bit aware of where you're going to go. It wouldn't matter, I don't think, if you did turn it, but you know, there we go. So we're going to join in our new yarn, coral, into the last stitch of the lemon. And then it is really straightforward because now it is just 43 double crochet. So we're going to do 1 chain there that's going to count as our first double crochet. And we're just going to do 43 all the way back. So 1 double crochet in each of these lemon stitches. So I shall do that and come back to you and we'll move on from there. 43, and again, I'm going to go straight on with the next row before I sew in this end, because we're going to turn again and I just want to make sure that that's okay. So I'm just going to snip the end there, and our next row is light pink. I think I've been calling it pale pink the whole way, I'm really sorry. I'm just going to pull that through. Right, so yet again we are going to turn and come back in the other direction. So if you look, you can see you're going to be the wrong side of the coral stitches is going to be facing you. Okay, the wrong side. So in the pattern it says join your light pink yarn into the last coral stitch that you just worked, not the first coral stitch. So we're not coming all the way down and going back this way. We're working into, you know, with the back of the coral stitches facing us. So we're joining our light pink yarn into the last coral stitch that we made. I'm sorry if I'm if you're just bewildered as to why I'm really labouring this point, but I don't know why. I just feel like I don't know, it messed with my head slightly. So as usual, pulling through a loop of the new colour. It's very pale, isn't it? You can't really see it against my background. Sorry about that. And then 1 chain, and that counts as the first double crochet, and then just quite simply 42 extra, so 43 in total stitches, and I'll come back to you at the end. So we've done the bottom part now, can you see? And we're going to do some slip stitches, as I said, with the opaline glass. So that's going to sit across the top of this light pink row here, and then we're going to be ready to join. So I'm just going to fasten off and sew in all the ends so far, and then we'll come back and we will finish off this part with the last row. Okay, so we're going to finish off this half of the bottom of the purse with this row, and if you recall, I said at the beginning this is just a row of slip stitches for the most part with intermittent long double crochet, and they're easy to do. You've done them before, obviously, on the front, and the long double crochet this time are worked into the lemon stitches. So the first row that you've made at the bottom of the purse, they just drop down to there. It's quite straightforward, but we do start off at this angle. We make 3 stitches along the top, so we'll make sort of 3 stitches, along this little short edge here. Then we'll slip stitch and do long stitches all the way, and then we'll make 3 stitches along that straight edge as well. So it just kind of neatens off the edge, because that's going to be the edge you see when you open the purse. Thus, you can see that's your neat edge there. So that's what we're going to do with that. And we'll just get going, shall we? We're using opaline glass, and we'll get started. Right, so you're going to be working with the right side of the 3 rows facing you. If you turn the purse this way on, you don't want to be working, with the wrong side in clear view. It's this way, so the right side is sitting to the right. We're going to join our yarn into the side of the first lemon stitch. So just put your hook in. You can see my hook is coming under that lemon stitch at the side. That's where our first stitch is going to go. Join in exactly the same way. So we're going to pull through a loop and then pull through one more, and that will count as our first double crochet. Don't forget, we're working UK terms. We're then going to go and do the same into the coral row, so into the side of the coral row. Actually, I might do that. I've missed it. It has to go through 2 strands. So into the side of the coral row, and then into the pink stitch. And sorry, I keep going over here, don't I? Sorry. Put your hook into the one strand of the pink stitch at the top there. You'll see it's intuitive. You will know that you're doing it right when you've done it. Kind of thing. Don't worry about things poking out. It'll all sort itself out momentarily, because you are now going to turn and start doing your slip stitches. You're going to do 7 slip stitches just into the light pink row. Okay, I've done 7 slip stitch here. I've taken my hook out because before I make the long double crochet, so that long stitch there, here, ta-da. Before I make that, I'm going to use Beth's beautiful stitch marker that came in the box, and I'm just going to pop it where our next slip stitch is going to go, because this is the next stitch along, and when I've finished showing you the long double crochet, you will see it's really tempting to put your hook in and carry on here, but you don't need to do that. You need to come along one more, which is actually there, and I want to mark that to show you, so that when you actually get to that point, you'll see why I've done it. You'll see how easy it is to put your hook in the wrong stitch. So just a little tip there, you might want to use your stitch marker just for this bit, just for the first couple of goes, and then I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. You'll know where you're going. Right, so we've done 7 slip stitches. We're now going to do 1 long double crochet, and the long double crochet means you're going to put your hook into the lemon stitches 2 rows below, 3 rows, into the lemon stitches anyway. So hook just goes into the next available space, which is there. Pick up your yarn, pull it up, oops, twisted it. I'm going to try that again. Pull it up, that's better. Pull it up and don't pull it too tight because it needs to sit, doesn't it, at the top of your stitches, and finish it off like that. All right, so that's your long double crochet. So now you can see that my hook could easily go into that stitch. Look, but that's not where we want to go. We want to go into the next one along, which is where I've put the stitch marker. So that's just why I've done that. So you might want to do that for the first repeat, or if you can eye that, that's no problem, but it helped me with the stitch marker. Okay, so I'll take that out now. So we've now got 3 repeats of 8 slip stitches and 1 long double. I keep saying single crochet. 8 slip stitches and 1 long double. So that I'm going to do that and then I'm going to leave you. So that's 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So then it's that long double crochet. Okay, long double crochet, and then I'm going to carry on. So I'm just going to finish off, get down towards, get to the end, do the last, sorry, get to the end of the 3 repeats, and I'll come back to you. Right, that is the last long double crochet of the repeat. So we've done 3 sets of 8 slip stitch and 1 long double crochet, and we're now going to finish up with 7 slip stitch. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and oh goodness 7. And now we're just going to reverse what we did at the very beginning. So we're going to turn the work and we're going to just do the 3 double crochet stitches across that short edge there to finish it off. So we'll do 1 in the pink stitch. I'm just going to do that again because I want to split that. It's quite difficult to get your hook in, but persevere, you will get there. There we go. So 1 in there, 1 in the coral. Oh, sorry, 1 in the coral, and 1 in lemon. And that is that. Okay. So what you're going to do, fasten off the blue. Let's just do that quickly. Just pull that through. Oh, that was easier said than done, wasn't it? Just pull that through and then epically fail to do it. Right, and I'll fasten that off and sew the end in nicely. So we've now got 2 complete pieces, and we're now going to join them together. And what's so lovely is that they will match beautifully, and you've got anchor points because you've got those long double crochets to line up, so you will know all the way around that your stitching is even. Off we go then.